Hey everybody, welcome to the CNC with Dave show. We've got another good show for you tonight, or I hope we do. We're going to talk about the tiling feature in V-Carve. Well, I guess it's in all of the stuff, right, Mark? Aspire, V-Carve, and whatever else it's in. Anyway, we didn't get to that last week. We got a little long-winded, as we sometimes do. And so we're going to be going over that. Tonight. And before we get started with that, I wanted to talk about some of the other things we got going on. Everybody should be pretty aware that we've got the 2016 Gatton CNC Christmas challenge going on. I've already got a few entries for that and started a playlist. And so I hope you all check those out. And I hope we got a bunch more people that are busy working on doing their video and getting a Christmas project for that. I'm checking over here in the chat. I just see everybody saying, hey, I don't see any questions over there yet. And also, I want to talk a little bit about the GarageWorX CNC giveaway. Hey, Bubba, roll tide, baby. Yeah, I want to talk about that. As you might or might not know, probably most people know by now, I'm doing a giveaway on a 36 by 24 GarageWorX CNC. It's like just like one that Juan has. Russell Clarity also has one like that. We started taking entries December 1st. We're going to take entries the whole month of December, and then we'll be doing the live drawing on this show, the CNC with Dave show, January 14th. I did want to mention, like I said, it's day 3 here of taking entries, and I've already got like 468 entries so far, I think. So lots of people apparently would like to win a free CNC. So just a couple of things else I want to talk about that. I think I misspoke when I did the video the other day. And I know I did because I rewatched it. And I said in that video that if you live in the continental U.S. and Canada, well, on my website, I don't know why I said continental U.S. because it's for anybody in the U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. Most of the time, I think last time we didn't get a whole lot of entries from there, but we're gonna go ahead and do that. All 50 states and Canada. But I do want to mention too that if you're from Canada and you're going to enter, keep in mind that, although I'm a really generous guy and I'm going to foot the bill for the shipping and all that, you will be responsible for any duty taxes or custom fees or whatever y'all have up there. I don't know. So keep that in mind. If that's something you don't want to do, then please don't fill out an entry form. But it'd probably be cheap, still compared to what you're getting. So I think that's probably all I wanted to talk about. And I know last week we were talking about, a show on New Year's Eve. It happens to, New Year's Eve happens to fall on a Saturday. We'll probably go ahead and do some kind of a show. I don't know what we'll do. We probably, I know everybody's got better things to do than watch this show, although the kind of the informal survey we took, they wanted us to have one. So we'll have a show then and just see what happens. We'll come up with a topic or maybe get a guest on the show that night or something. So does anybody have any questions before we get started with the tiling over there?
Well, yeah, we did have one question from a man by the name of Leo Steger. I believe that's it, Steger. He wants to know, can he use his CarveRite machine to enter your Christmas competition, Christmas challenge? That's a CNC, isn't it?
I believe it's technically a CNC. I don't see why not. Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised somebody's got one out there that works.
Right?
I know I shouldn't say that. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
But no, that's fine, Leo. If you want to use a Carve Right or wasn't there another one that's similar to that?
Yeah, it was called they were sold in Craftsman by Sears.
Sears sold
Craftsman digital
what?
Digicarve or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called that. But that's technically a CNC controlled thing. So yeah, if you want to do a Christmas project with that and shoot us a video, that'd be great.
Okay. Are we going to do introductions?
Yeah, I'd like for you to do that because I haven't ever seen or heard of one of those, and being new to this, I'd like to kind of see a little bit more variety out there.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before. Yeah, we'll get to introductions here, Mark, in just a second here, because it won't take me like 2 seconds, probably. No more we got tonight.
You also have
what was I saying?
Mark.
The contest. Yeah, it really doesn't matter what kind of CNC you have. Whether it's a little Piranha like we had on the other night with Drew Short, or you got your own big 4x8 machine you build in your garage or whatever. It doesn't matter as long as it's CNC controlled and the project has the Christmas theme to it. You shoot the video and follow all the other little rules we've got. So,
but mainly we're looking at home hobbyist CNCers, not big production shop guys, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not really, don't go taking a piece of wood to work using your big, $60,000 thermwood or something. This is more for the hobby CNC guys and the people that have, a CNC in their shop or garage or shed or whatever it might be. But yeah, I'm hoping to get a lot of entries. I know it's still fairly early on that, but I hope we get a lot of entries for that. So okay, we'll run through introductions real quick here. David, you want to start us off?
Sure. My name is David Battershell. I am in Dale, Oklahoma. I'm very new to the CNC arena. Dave's been kind enough to let me sit in on some of his shows here and kind of be the voice of, well, I've never seen that before, so could you guys go over that, a little bit slower for those of us that are just getting started. I'm in the process of building a chain-driven wooden CNC using Rich Mullins' Shade Tree CNC plans. And I've also want to throw a little shout out to Caden McDonald he's got a CNC that he uses aluminum rulers for rails instead of track or something like that. And I've actually started a YouTube channel, and I've got a couple of playlists out there for you guys to go look at. And as I get further along with my build, I'm going to try to document that so you can see how I've done it in comparison to what some of you other folks have done.
Yeah, and that's why I'm interested in following your build, David, because you're doing the chain drive thing, which isn't, what most people use. So, and also for you folks out there, if you want to subscribe to David, there's a link in the show notes or whatever here. You should just drop that down and go ahead and subscribe to David. That way you won't miss any of his build. So there you go. Okay, Juan, you want to do some introduction here?
Sure. My name is Juan Lopez. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And you can find me here on YouTube under G-Code 1 Design and also on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for having me, Dave. Okay.
Thank you for being here, Juan. I'm glad you're over your crud.
Thank you.
And
I'm
finally,
happy too.
Yeah, I'll bet. And finally, Mr. Mark.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Lindsay, and you can find me here on YouTube and over on Facebook under this name, Mark Lindsay. And when I can remember that I'm on Instagram, I'm also on Instagram. So that's about it. Thank you. I will be monitoring the chat for a little while to get any kind of questions you got until I start getting into the tiling toolpath thing. Then I'll be busy doing that. But somebody will be watching. And so other than that, thank you for having me, Dave.
Okay. Thanks for being here, Mark. I guess we're going to go ahead and start because I don't see any other questions over there.
Well, there's a question.
Let's talk a little bit about Mark while we're talking about the CNC challenge and stuff like that. I see you posted a comment saying that the fact that they're in the chat means they have a YouTube channel. Let's talk a little bit about what it takes to get in this challenge.
Okay, well, that comes from Becca Miller. She asked a question here earlier. She said, why does it require a YouTube channel to enter the CNC giveaway? I don't have a YouTube channel, just entered none. I hope that's okay.
Okay, I guess I missed part of the chat. It scrolled up. You don't necessarily have to have one. I just put that on there so that, you know, I would be able to plug your channel. So,
well, they do have to be present, right, in order for them to win it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Juan, because I wanted to make sure that I failed to write that down in my notes, and I wanted to be sure and cover that. This is this giveaway is what I call a must be present to win, and what that means is you must be watching the show for the giveaway. You must be watching it live. Now, what we do is and for those of you who may don't know what the heck we're talking about, I did a giveaway back in February, but that was before I started the CNC with Dave show. So I did it live on Russell Clarity's show, Let's Talk Shop with Russ, back on February 13th, if you want to go look it up. And what we did is we drew the name from the basket, or I drew the name from the basket, and then we had a timer, a 3-minute timer, and the person that, whose name I drew, they had 3 minutes to either post in the chat that they were watching it live, or we also flashed my phone number across the screen so they could call. And I will tell you that back in February, when we did that first giveaway, we had 869 entries for that entry, and it took 5 drawings. In other words, the first 4 people were not watching it live. So you don't want to be like one of those first 4 people. You want to be watching it live so that you can either comment in the chat. Like I said, we'll be flashing my phone number. That's really the preferred way, I think, to let me know that you're watching it.
Okay, can I clear up something else? A little bit of confusion, Dave.
Sure.
I'm watching folks over here in the chat talking about, well, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have a YouTube channel. If you're over here chatting in this chat room, you have a YouTube channel. And I can say that with some authority. For instance, Becca Miller, you're saying you don't have a YouTube channel. I'm not out to embarrass you or anything, but I'm going to do a screen share here real quick, show you. I'm switched over and I just looked. You have a YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel. If you are able to get into our chat and post with your name, you have a YouTube channel. You might not use it, but you got one. So,
yeah, and I can attest to that because, I mean, just early this morning was the first time that I'd even attempted to do anything with mine. I don't have any content, but I just built a couple of playlists. So if you're going to enter the challenge, by all means, take some pictures of it as you're doing it, and then you can just upload it right there. And like it's been said multiple times, it's not about the video quality of how good it is, whether it's got the pop-ups and the noise and the sound bites and all that attached to it. You guys are just trying to see a CNC build and get some idea as to how the project was built and how it is a Christmas themed project. So there you go.
Yeah, I see Jerry Brown in the chat, and he says, I think it's almost automatic with Gmail or Google login. And I think all that's tied together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of people, like Mark says, has a YouTube channel. They just may not realize it.
Right. If you have a Gmail account, if you have a Google Plus page, if you have a Google account, if you use Chrome as your browser and you open up your Chrome browser and you've got your little icon up there at the top right, and with your name or whatever name you've decided to use, you have a YouTube channel. You just don't know it, and you probably haven't utilized it yet.
Might want to read Tom Cox's comment there, because that's something that's probably got to get cleared up too.
But you do have to have a CNC, which if you have one, why would you need another? Now,
okay.
He's confusing the contest. He's confusing the contest with the giveaway.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And I knew this would happen. That's kind of why I've got the GarageWorX CNC. That's what I'm giving away is the Juan. You don't have your machine behind you, do you? Okay. I don't. Okay. I was going to have you show it real quick so that people could see, but it's the safety orange GarageWorX CNC 36 by 24. That's what the giveaway, the CNC giveaway about. You enter that giveaway at the GarageWorX CNC website, www.garageworxcnc.com. The other thing we've got going on is the CNC Christmas Challenge, which is to make a Christmas themed project using your CNC and shooting a video, and then sending the link to me. I'll add it to a playlist, and we're going to be announcing the winner of that on January 7th. The giveaway is going to be January 14th, the following Saturday. So we've got two things going on, but they're completely separate. One is a CNC giveaway, and the other one is a CNC Christmas Challenge for people who already have a CNC and are want to do a Christmas project and shoot a video. So hopefully we've cleared that up. I don't know. And also too, like we've talked about the YouTube channel, it's not a big deal to get that. You probably already got one. And it's also not a big deal, even if you've never done it before. Trust me, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means, but I was able to figure out how to upload a video, and I've been doing it for several years now, and it just keeps getting easier the way they change things. So it's not a big deal to do a video. But also, if you are going to do the Christmas challenge, make sure you go to the website. I have the information for the Christmas challenge on both websites, just to promote it. But so no matter which one you go to, you can find out about the CNC Christmas challenge. But make sure you read through the rules and stuff about that too. Because and make sure you don't forget to send me the link and let me know you've done it, so I can add it to the playlist, and then it'll be judged with all the rest of them. So
that was another question that we had. I had sent to me is, will you be posting the playlist so that folks can kind of get an idea for the other videos to see what they need to do to video quality and things like that, just kind of see what they're up against?
Yeah, I don't think I've really shared it a whole lot because there's not a whole lot in it right now. But if anybody wanted to go see what's in it, I think there's just a couple of videos in it right now. But if you go to my YouTube channel and then click on my playlist and stuff, you can get to it. It should show up right there on the page.
Okay.
But just taking an informal survey. I don't know. We've got 92 people watching. If you're planning on entering the 2016 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge, post something over there in the chat and just say, yeah, I'm going to do it or whatever. We'll kind of get an idea if people are working on it. Jim Horton says, I cut date night short just for this show. Man, I don't know, Jim.
No pressure, Jim. No pressure. I hope I get all your questions answered.
I'm going to tell you something. That's a bad plan. Okay, so you can watch the recorded version. You do
Yeah.
not want Mama to not be happy with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Mama ain't happy. Nobody's happy, man.
That's right.
So, that's crazy.
That or one heck of a keeper.
Okay, Aaron. Let's see. How do you say that? Aaron Surs. I can't pronounce people's names. I'm just gonna call you Aaron. Okay. Aaron over there says, I shot video of me making my Gatton CNC, just haven't had the time to edit and upload videos. Okay, cool.
That works.
Okay. There's some other people on there. Big Bear 4x43 or something like that. Yeah, I thought that's what the Christmas challenge was. Okay, so before we move on to the tiling, talk about tiling, and is anybody over there have any other questions about either the Gatton CNC Christmas challenge or the GarageWorX CNC giveaway?
That just know they're two different contests.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I maybe I should have waited to do the giveaway, but I've been wanting to do another one for quite a while now, and I just thought being right here around Christmas, it might be nice to although we'll be doing that like January 14th, it still might be nice to get kind of a belated Christmas present.
Sure.
Somebody winning a free CNC. So
Sure. Then you got no excuses for next year's Christmas challenge.
there you go. There you go. Okay. Well, I see Jim Bashirs is over there. Kevin Mert looks like. Totally Wood Workshop. Try to give a shout out here to a few folks.
Totally Wood Workshop. That's Jim Senecola's new channel name.
Oh yeah, okay. The little
Nice.
picture is so small I can't. But now that you said that, yeah, that's Jim Senecola. How you doing, Jim? Let's see. We've got the Hamlin Wood Shop. Bob Hildebrandl. Is that how you say his name? Yeah, he says
Looks
you
like
can never
Hildebrandl.
have too many CNCs, and I'd have to agree with you, Bob, because I've got like 4 of them.
Oh, all y'all hush.
Actually, 5
ain't got
if I
room for
count
the one I
the
got.
GarageWorX build that I'm doing to give away. Let's see. David Battershell's on the chat. Imagine that.
Welcome.
Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Paul's Messy Workshop. Donna Presley. Hey, Donna, how are you doing? Random Audio Guy. He's been on here before. Becca Miller, Jerry Brown. Okay. Give you all a shout out a little bit. Todd, 1962.
Roll Tide, Roll Tide.
Yeah. Yeah, Russ Clarity sometimes joins us. I don't know if his show's ended yet. He may be running along over there or something, but or maybe he's not going to come. I don't know. But I had my, for those of you who don't know, Russ Clarity is a big Florida Gators fan. And, of course, I'm a big Alabama fan, so I was going to
There you go.
if he shows up. But
You need a sign in the
he
back.
might be scared to show up because they took a whooping today. Just a little earlier.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so hey, Rick Nolan, I see him on there. I don't know if I mentioned him before. Okay, well, are we going to try to talk about this tiling a little bit?
We can do that.
I do want to say though, and I tried to get Peter Pasquello from New Zealand on here tonight, but he was he wasn't at home, so he's not able to join us tonight. But I have been watching Peter, and by the way, all these guys that I mentioned have links. If they've been a panel member or whatever, been on the panel, even if it's just one time, I put everybody's link in the thing down below here. I think I forgot it last week, but now as I say that, let me look and make sure it's there. Oh yeah, they're all there.
Yeah, you'll have to update mine for this week's show because it's still showing my old Facebook. connection.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I
You
did
don't
it
want
on
to forget David.
That's
one from
right.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, you
well,
did it on last week, and we tested it, and it worked just fine. And then
Yeah, and then I forgot that okay, well, I'll fix it on this one too. But what I was going to mention is Peter Pasquale. He's looks like the fourth one down in that list. He has some really good videos just in general about CNC, but he also had one that I watched the other day about tiling as well as what Mark's going to talk about tonight. So anyway, we're going to, we had some questions, I guess, a week or so ago, how to do a project that's too big for your machine. So Mark, you want to, that was kind of your homework assignment. And
Yeah, and I've done it too.
Nice.
Okay, well, thank you very much. First of all, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on this project. My wife, Linda, who I love dearly, is a...
we scored some points there, I'll bet.
We heard that.
Yeah. Well, she's a knitter, she's a spinner, she's a weaver. And when I say spinner, I mean she's serious. This picture here, she calls it the herd. And you can see that, I'm guessing. That's part of her herd. This spinning wheel up here in front, that's about a 22-inch diameter wheel. This big one in the back, that's a 36-inch diameter wheel. Now, I say this is a small picture of her herd because this is 4 spinning machines, or excuse me, spinning wheels out of the 14 she owns. So when you have that many things coming in the front door and not a lot going outside the other door, you tend to do some collecting. So I decided I was going to make her a sign. And the sign I chose to make is this one here. I'm going to go ahead and preview it just so everybody can see what it says. And we're going to hang that up in the living room. You can see that, right? Anybody?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So following in with the mantra of go big or go home, I decided if I'm going to make a sign, I'm going to make a big one. And so if we come over here and take a look in my job setup in V-Carve Pro, we can see that it's 72 inches long, 35 inches high. So right at 6 foot by a little under 3 foot.
Cool.
And the problem with that is my CNC will only cut about, let's see, I think the working, I'm looking at about 22 inches in Y and about 33 inches in X. So this is not quite 4 times the size of my CNC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up to tile the tool paths on it. Now, I'm just showing you the job setup so you can see that I've got my width of 72 inches in X and my height of 35 inches in Y. My material is 3/4 of an inch thick. My Z0 is set to the top of the material. My XY datum is down here on the bottom left corner. So that's basically it for the job setup. Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me at any time.
I'm studying the chat as you're going.
Okay. Okay. Well, the important thing to know about this tiling toolpaths is you need to be ready to save G-code at this point before you can even get started with tiling toolpaths. So all of my artwork is done. All of everything is already figured out. Let me switch over here to the toolpaths tab. And all of my toolpaths have been calculated. So I've got V-Carve for the text. I've got a V-Carve border profile, and I've got my profile toolpaths. Everything is all set and ready to go. Right now, I could go ahead and save G-code and put it on a thumb drive, take it outside, and just cut this if my machine was physically large enough. But because it isn't, What I need to do is I need to split it up into manageable pieces. And for that, that's when we get into toolpath tiling. And the icon to get into tiling the toolpaths is right here in between the save toolpaths and your toolpath summary with your estimated times. It's right here. When you click on that icon, it opens up the toolpath tiling manager here. Okay, the tiling manager stays on top of everything. You can move it around, put it where you need to get it out of the way, but it stays on top. You can come over here and work in this, your 2D view or your 3D view if you need to, but it's going to stay on top. It'll just gray out when it's not active and then go back to blue when it is active. Now, normally when I'm tiling toolpaths, right about this time, I'll hit my page up button on my keyboard, which will split the screen and give me my 2D view up here on top and my 3D view down here on bottom, so I can watch both at the same time. But that, I tried it earlier, and that makes the screens too small. You wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So right now, as it sits, I'm going to have to keep moving this back and forth and then switching between the 2D and 3D view. So that's why I'm doing that, just so you know. Okay, if we get in here into the toolpath tiling manager, there are 3 ways that you can tile a project. And the way we get started is we'll click on, put a check mark in over here to tile the toolpaths. The 3 ways you can tile them are with individual tiles of size that you'll enter down here, or you have 2 feed-through options here. For instance, Dave already mentioned earlier that Peter Pasuelo has an excellent video over on his channel on how to cut a project that's longer than your CNC machine is. And in that video, he did a feed-through in Y method, where his material and his project was broken up into 3 separate tiles, and he would cut one, use a locating dowel to move the project up a little bit, locate the project, cut the second tile, then move again, pick up the material, feed it through NY, locate it with the dowel, fasten it down, and cut the 3rd tile to create his entire project. Conversely, if you can feed through an X, where you would cut one section, move it, cut another section, move it, and then cut the 3rd section. When you do individual tiles, it breaks up, in this case, my big 6-foot-long sign into sections that I could actually mount on my CNC. So that's how I'm going to do this. It's going to actually cut this project out in 6 different tiles. And the way I'll set this up is, first I'll enter, I want to tile the toolpaths. I want to cut individual tiles. Then I'm going to enter the tile width in X and the tile height in Y. Now for me, I'm going to go with a tile width of 24 inches and a tile height in Y of 18 inches. That should split up the project into about 6 even portions.
And you're doing that, Mark, because that's the size of your cutting area?
That's the size of my cutting area. And you can do this, well, I know it'll fit comfortably on the cutting area. I have a little bit more than that, but when I get into this a little bit further, you'll see what I mean. That's a number that I can set on my table saw and cut this material into 18 by 24 pieces and then mount to the CNC and cut, say, tile 1, and then take that off and then cut tile 2, and then take that off and then cut tile 3. And I know they'll go back together and I won't have any problems. So that just divides the project. I'm sitting here pointing at my screen like you can see it. That divides the project up into basically even material square sizes. Okay, now down here in the third blank, we have what they call a tile overlap. Now, what that means is when I'm going to do it without any overlap first, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about, then come back and do an overlap. Now, I've got my sizes here in X and Y entered. Now what I want to do is I'll hit Update Tiles. Now, you're not seeing anything in the 3D view at all because I haven't applied the toolpaths into the 3D view. But if I come over here into the 2D view, you can see what it's done to the drawing. And that is, oops, no, come off it. There we go. It's divided up the project. I don't know if you can see these yellow lines going up and down vertically here. And then there are also a center line going horizontally here. It's divided these toolpaths up into 6 separate squares, into 6 separate tiles. And it's numbered them. I've got T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and T6. And I can select which tile is active by either double-clicking the tile that I want to work with, or come over here into the toolpath drawing section and go into this drop-down menu here. And that tells me which tile I am actively working with right now. Okay? Now, this really becomes dramatic when you get into 3D previewing it. I'll go ahead and do that now. I've got tile number 1 active. I will go ahead and start my preview and preview all toolpaths to show you that that's what it's going to cut on tile 1. Just that very first tile. Then tile 2, preview all toolpaths, it will cut that tile. And etc. I can just keep going on down the line. Preview all toolpaths and it cuts tile 3. Just keep going on down the line. Now, let me go back up here and do an individual tile by unchecking this box right here. This box says draw the toolpaths in the original position for visualization. What this means is that it's showing me the entire workpiece here in V-Carve Pro just to visualize. When I take toolpaths outside onto the CNC machine, it's only going to cut, either depending upon which G-code I load, it's only going to cut tile 1 or tile 2 or tile 3, whichever one I load into Mach 3. But when I reset, when I uncheck that box, reset the preview, then I've only got that tile loaded. Tile 1 this time. And I can preview all the toolpaths for tile 1. That's what it's going to cut out. So let me click on this here. And, well, come on now. There we go. So it's going to do, excuse me, move you out of the way. It's going to do my V-carving in this section only. It's going to V-carve my little border here. Then it's going to come back after a tool change and do the profile cutout. Then that project, that part of the project is done. Then I would take this tile off of the CNC, throw down the tile for tile 2, do my XYZ0, zero my bit and everything, run the G code, then it'll cut that part out. Take that off of the CNC, load the G code for tile 3, and it'll cut out that part of the project. Then when I've got all 6 of them cut like that, I can put them together on a backer board or the biscuit, join them together however I want to do them, and I'll have the entire sign.
Yeah, we had a question, Mark.
Okay. Okay.
It scrolled up long ago. I can't remember who it was that asked it, but they were asking, how you were going to put those together. Now, do you have, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off here in the middle of this, but
No, that's fine.
do you have another example where it fits, in between your gantry and you're just doing it one way so you can make it out of one piece? Do you have an example like that?
No, I do not. And in fact, that's why I was referring people to Peter's video on cutting a project that's longer than your CNC table.
Okay,
Because I don't have one that I can just move through in one direction.
Okay, so just to be clear, folks, those of you that are watching, what Mark is showing is where you're cutting, like, what do you got, 6 different pieces?
6 individual tiles, yes.
So he's going to make them where they'll fit on his machine and cut the 6 different tiles and then piece them together. And like he said, Peter Pasuelo has a really good video on how to do it while you're still keeping your material as one piece. If it'll fit, under your gantry, and you can just hang it out the back and do it that way. So I would, recommend people go watch Peter Pasuelo, and you should be subscribed to him anyway. So
yeah, you should. And you know what? Down in the description box of this video right now, there's a link to his YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's in the chat. He says it's episode 63.
I was just getting ready to say, I think it's back in the 50s or 60s.
yeah, he says episode 63. So, and like I said, folks, you should be subscribed to Peter if you're not already, because he's got not just a great video on tiling, but he's got a bunch of great videos on CNC stuff. So, even though he talks a little funny,
No, he don't talk funny. We just hear funny.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Okay. I'm trying to show my cursor here. There we go. All right. Now maybe y'all can see my mouse pointer. I forgot to turn that on. I apologize for that. And what you're talking about, Dave, that's done up here when I was talking earlier on the feed through X or feed through Y. That is one of those 2 settings. For if your CNC is wide enough, it's just not long enough, you can use either feed through X or feed through Y. I'm doing the individual tiles for this project. And that's all. Now, another thing about the drawing tool paths in the original position for the visualization here, excuse me. What that does when you're looking here at your X, Y, and Z, let's see, where's my X, Y, and Z origin at? Okay, it's not going to show up. Okay, when I have this checked, even though, let me move this out of the way again. When I have this check mark down here, showing the tool paths in the original position, even though it looks like the tool path is going to start over in this bottom left corner and move way the heck and gone down here before it starts cutting, this is only within V-Carve Pro for visualization purposes. That's just so you can see which tile it's going to cut when you're in this view. Okay? What it's going to do when you save G-code is it's going to save you G-code for each individual tile with your origin down at the bottom left corner. Okay? And what I mean by that is, no, that explains it all. I'm not going to confuse anything. So, okay, so we've got our tiles made up. We've got all of our tool paths set. We're all ready to go. And we've decided after looking through on the 3D view that all of the tool paths look good. Now it's time to save G-code. We'll just slide this off to the side out of the way. We'll go back ahead on, and I'm going to do the G-code for the 2 V-Carve tool paths because I won't have to do a tool change in between. Go over here and hit Save Tool Paths, and then look up here. We'll go Output all visible tool paths in one file. Make sure there's a check mark there. and then make sure there's a check mark here in output tiled toolpaths. Then we have both of our toolpaths here listed that I've got check marked. I've got my post processor set, and I'll hit Save Toolpaths to File. And this is the right folder I want to save this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go with the name V-Carve Text and save that here. Now I'm going to go open up this folder just to show you that it has split that toolpath up into 6 different individual files. T1, Tile 1, T2, Tile 2, T3, Tile 3, etc. So it saved a separate V-Carve file of G-code for each one of those tiles individually. Then again, I'll go down here and uncheck these 2, do my profile cutout for my 1/4" end mill, save toolpaths to file, save it here, profile cutout, save, go back to that folder, and now you see I have G-code for tile 1 on the profile, the V-Carve, profile, V-Carve, profile, V-Carve. I'm now ready to take all 12 of these G-code files, put them on a thumb drive, take them outside, and mount my first piece of material on my CNC table and start cutting. This is where we get into a couple of other things down here. When you enter a tile width and a tile height, make sure you have cut your material to that width and that height, because once you have this machined in, if you don't have it pretty accurate, in my case 24 by 18, if I don't have that cut pretty accurate, I'm going to have to try to cut that after I've already run the CNC work, and you're setting yourself up for trouble there. Just my opinion. But make sure you've got your material cut down to the right size. I mean, heck, you've got a CNC. If that means putting a piece of material down and machining it to that size, so be it. But that's basically how easy it is. Now, there's one other thing that I am going to show you about here, and that is, I was talking about tile overlap down here. When this is split up, let me go ahead and draw this back in and bring this up here like so. When this is set up for individual tiles, the tool paths run over to the edge. You can see here the tool paths run over just to the edge of the tile and then stop. They may or may not get all the way over to the edge. So what we want to do is we want to overlap these tool paths so that they go past the edge of the tile just a little bit. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have them run over the tile probably half the diameter of the biggest bit, which in this case will be the 1/4" end mill I'm going to cut them out with. So I'm going to go ahead and have it run 1/8 inch over off of the edge of my material here. Click Update Tiles, and you can see here now that the tool paths, when this runs, they will run beyond the edge of the material out about 1/8 inch.
Yeah, Mark, so if I can interrupt you just for a second.
Sure.
We got a question here.
Okay.
Matthew Kendall is asking, do the tiles have to be mounted in the same spot on your table to work right?
No, because what you'll want to do when you take one tile off and you mount your next piece of material, you'll want to reset your X, Y, and Z anyway. It's just like doing 6 individual projects. You would always reset your X, Y, and Z 0 whenever you mount a piece of material on the table. You've got, again, you'll have 12 different pieces of G-code here. So the V-Carve text for tile 1 is completely different than the V-Carve text for tile 2. The T1 profile cutout is completely different from the profile cutout for tile 2. It's treated as 6 different separate projects without having to figure out how to split up one project into 6 separate projects.
Yeah,
So no,
that's what I was going to say. So basically,
Yeah.
the software is going in there and splitting it up for you, so you don't have to worry about where you're going to do your breaks and your lines.
exactly.
And by you specifying the material size, that's
Right.
why it's always going to line up, because you're always cutting out of 6, in your case, 6 individual
Right.
pieces of material that are exactly the same size.
Exactly.
And also by the tool path going over the edge, then you're taking care of any issues for alignment that may take place.
Exactly. It's going to cut off of the edge an extra 1/8 of an inch on tile 1 here. For the sake of argument, we go to tile 2, and we, whoa, that was cool. Let's shut that off. There we go. If we look, it's going to go off of the edge on both sides. It's going to go off the edge over here, back out, scoot over, and it's going to go off the edge over here, so that this edge that mates with tile 1, this leg of the letter N is going to match up where the letter N left off over here.
Cool.
So what it does is it eliminates that little half crescent radius when you're, let me get over here where you can kind of sort of see. When you're machining along up this way and you get up to close to the edge and it stops and then starts going back down this way, you get that little bit of a half crescent on the edge where the cutter didn't quite make it to the end. Well, by running it 1/8 of an inch off of the material, the cutter will complete that that cut. I don't know if that makes any sense. But if you've done this,
It does.
If you've cut pockets or cut V-carved close to the edge of a piece of material, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now, Mark, we had Steve Bush made a comment here in the chat. It says he seems like a fixture would save some time. What do you think on that?
it could. I mean, if you think you're gonna, I don't know. My rule on fixtures and jigs is if you're going to do a lot of this, it's probably worth your time. A fixture that you could put in in one place on your CNC table, that you could put it down, attach it, mount a piece of material in it, set your XYZ and go. If you're going to do that a lot, then it's probably worth your time. But
Yeah,
For what you're doing, though, that's probably the way you're doing it now is the better way to do it, I would think. Because you're doing it in 4 pieces. I mean, you're not doing it just one side and then doing the other side. So
right. You know, if you were going to be doing a lot of the exact same sign in the exact same size, then yeah, you're probably right. It's something that you could just mount, that you know where it is. You can bring your bit over and set your XYZ 0 and load and go. And you're using pretty consistent material. Like if I was going to cut this out of PVC foam or something like this, where I know it's pretty consistent material, then yeah, setting up a fixture would be a good thing. But if you're only going to do it one time, it may or may not be worth inventing a fixture to do that with.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention Random Audio Guy in the chat makes a good point. He says this makes you understand how much work goes into not having a CNC the right size for the job.
Yeah.
He says, I guess for hobby that works, but for business, the time for a big machine alone. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're into heavy production, or not heavy, but if you're into high production, high numbers, and if you're cutting a lot of the same thing, then yeah, you need to be looking into an industrial machine anyway.
Yeah.
Because making do with home hobby machinery and equipment in a production environment usually ends up being more expensive than any money you save buying the first tool.
Yeah.
You know.
And but I guess what we're trying to show here, folks, is that not everybody's got room for a 4x8 or some big old CNC. But this just shows what we're just trying to do is show ways how you can do things with a smaller CNC. And another way, and I just want to mention this real quick, Mark, and then I'll get back to you here. Okay. I had all of you probably know Zach Manring from Southern Ginger Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He contacted me the other day and he said, well, how big of stuff can you cut? He had something he needed cut that was going to be like almost 4x8. And I said, well, I can do 4x4. But what the project was, I said, well, why don't we think about, making templates, cause I couldn't use my machine. And so what I did is I cut templates for him using 1/2" MDF. And then he picked up the templates and he's using that to finish the job, but he's making it one piece by laying the templates on there and then routing around them. So there's lots of ways to get, to skin a cat, even though your CNC's maybe not big enough for what you need to do. You just break it up into however many pieces, whatever it'll fit on your machine. So.
Yeah, and that's the whole point for this. Believe me, if I could afford a Laguna machine that would hold a 5 by 9 or 5 by 10 sheet of plywood, I'd have it. But I don't have the cash for that, and I don't have the cash to move into a place big enough for me to put one. So I have to make do with what I've got. If you're in business and this is how you make your money, Tiling Toolpath is probably not for you.
Right.
You need to be looking at a machine that you can cut full sheets on.
I was going to say the exact same thing. That's the difference between paying $2,000 or $3,000 for a CNC and $10,000 or $12,000 or $15,000 for a CNC.
Yeah.
But if that's how you make your bread and butter is cutting a lot of parts or cutting large parts on a CNC, then a home hobby CNC is probably not for you. But for mopes like me with an 8x12 garden shed and 22 by 33 inch CNC, I don't have to say I can't make something that's 6 foot long anymore. Now I know how I can make something that's 6 foot long.
Yeah, Random Audio Guy posted another comment in here that I wanted to share if I can get it before it scrolls up. He says, I can see how it works. It's great that they have software to assist with tiling. Just didn't realize, crap, there it's spoiled. Scrolled up.
Scrolling up.
Just didn't realize how spoiled you get with a 4x8.
Yeah.
It says, though me and the hubby are considering 2 of Gatton 4x4s. That's a way to double your production as long as you can, because you can run 2 of them at the same time. It's what I do.
2 machines and 2 operators? Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
And when the kids get old enough to be able to see over the tabletop, there's your sanding crew.
Uh-huh.
See, that's at one point I was thinking about doing a 4x8 out there, and then I thought, well, if I just build another 4x4, I can double production because I can run both machines at the same time. It's not a big deal.
That's right.
But if you got a 4x8, it's still only cutting one part at a time.
And when it's still cutting one sheet at a time. And when you're using 2 separate 4x4 machines, you can stagger them to where you're pulling parts off of one and moving the blank while the other one's cutting. And by the time you get done and get that one cutting, the other one is finished and you can start pulling parts and moving blanks. So you're actually more productive with 2 4x4s than you would be with 1 4x8.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but now I know this looks like a lot of work and it looks like a lot of effort, but believe me,
it's just the programming.
It's the programming, and it's also I'm explaining what I'm doing at the time.
Yep.
Just sitting down and learning to do this and doing this for the first time, it took me maybe 10 minutes. This is not a long process. It doesn't take long to do it at all. And I don't want to bad talk Vectric. I don't know if any of you have ever watched any of Vectric's tutorials, but Adrian, the fellow who does the tutorials, is very long-winded, and he's real good at 30 and 45-minute tutorials. His tutorial on this process was 11 minutes long. So if Adrian can do it in 11 minutes. So, and then when you're finished with this, hide tiling manager, boom, you're done. Go back over to the 2D view and then save it. Because I have this tiled, I'm going to save a copy of this file. Save as, sanctuary sign. Whoops. Tiled. That way I know this one is already set up for tiling. And the other one is not.
Now, Mark?
Sir.
On some signs that I do, the smaller ones, I like the same backgrounds and stuff like that. And I save sometimes without text or anything, and I save them as blanks.
Right.
So that I can, put whatever else I want to put as far as text is concerned. Would it work also with this tiling as far as just the actual template maybe, or saving it as a template?
Yes, it would. You could save this as a template and then just go in and say, for the sake of our discussion, get rid of that text and enter more text. Of course, you'd be back over.
And you could even just recalculate the path, right?
You would enter in other text and get it arranged the way you wanted, recalculate your tool paths, but then you would have to go back into Tiling Manager here and, oops, wrong one. You would have to go back into the Tiling Manager here and reset your sizes.
But it would take some time off of the having to do the whole thing all over again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Certainly could.
Right on.
So certainly could. But that's basically it. Just make sure that you are, let me go ahead and undo that, bring my text back. Just make sure that you are finished with all of your artwork down here and you have all your tool paths calculated. And you are ready that if you had a machine big enough, you could go up here and hit Save Tool Path and just load your G code into a thumb drive and go outside.
Hey, Mark, I want to catch another question before it scrolls on the side here. Jerry Brown is asking, has anyone tried tiling on more of a 3D piece versus just text?
Okay, 3D tiling is its own separate and distinct function. It can be done, but
that's probably going to be for another show, I guess, huh?
Well, that's going to be quite a ways down the road because you need a spire to do that. And I just don't have the change to buy a spire right now.
Well, maybe if somebody, we've got 94 people watching, maybe if somebody out there that has a spire would like to come on the show and demonstrate tiling in 3D, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
are there any more any questions at all?
I'm going through here. Another guy, tech guy, Shefto, he says, Mark, do you use single flute cutters for most of your cuts?
Most of my cuts, two flute.
Two flute.
When I'm cutting wood, they're two flute. But if I haven't cut aluminum and I haven't cut acrylic yet. But I don't use 4-flute cutters on wood. I tried once and ding dong near started a fire. So, but that's just probably me not knowing how to use it because I was pretty new. So I mentioned something in passing a couple weeks back and I had a lot of people ask me about it. While I've got V-Carve Pro open right here, I'll go ahead and show it. I mentioned job sheets and that is, oops, wrong one. Up here in the Tool Paths menu, this is in V-Carve Pro, V-Carve Desktop, and Aspire 8.0 or later. You hit, come up here to the Tool Paths menu, and then right here is Create Job Sheet. And what it does is it will save, like for instance, this one, Sanctuary Signed, Tiled, Summary, HTML. It's an HTML file that it saves. And I'm going to put it in this same folder here. Then I'll go into this folder. See, there's the HTML file right here. It'll open up in your web browser, and that's what the job sheet looks like. It shows you a picture of the project. There's your material setup, showing you where you set your Z0, what your XY was set at, bottom left corner, your Z clearance, your safe Z height, then the list of the tool paths, and breakdown of those tool paths, which bit you used, what your spindle speed was, plunge rate, feed rate, estimated time it's going to take to cut that out. All of this for each of the tool paths that you created.
We have a taker on that. Oh, sorry, Mark. We have a taker on that Aspire.
Yeah, I've already wrote his name down.
Right on. sorry, Mark.
We're gonna.
No, that's quite all right.
It looks like Andre. I hope I'm saying that. Andre Design. Yeah, we've already got your name down, buddy. So.
Okay, you're in.
You betcha. So, Mark, for your job sheets, I can see a couple of applications for that right off the bat, being the new guy. If you're trying to figure out your feeds and speeds, if you've got your job sheet right there already laid out, you can compare as your first attempt, your second attempt, etc., and then taking it on down the road. If you try to get into a production environment, if you want to do a quote for somebody, you can say, look, this is a sign I have. You can look at your job sheet. That's going to take me X number of man hours. And then you can kind of work on your quotes right there and not have to look for your notebook and pencil it all out.
Well, it would be a good starting point. It would be a real good starting point. But do remember that when you're using Mach 3, you can bump up and adjust feed rates on the fly. So if you look at, let me go back into screen share here and bring that job sheet up again. No, wrong one. Come here. That's what I want to look at. If you look at the feed rate that I've got here on the V-Carve text, feed rate is 40 inches per minute. That's what I'm going to start at. But the minute it starts cutting, I'm going to, on the fly, start bumping up that feed rate to the point to where I get a little bit of chatter, then I'm going to back it off by about 10%. So even though my feed rate here is set at 40 inches per minute, I may end up cutting it at 110. I may end up cutting it at 90. I may end up cutting it at 40. I just don't know until I get to cutting, because it's going to depend on the material.
Sure, but you know, where I was going with was like for a quoting purpose. If you're going to quote that to somebody, you know, this is going to take me 7 hours to run, and it may only take you an hour and a half.
But what I'm getting at, with this, when your feed rate changes, your estimated time changes. Because right now it's figured this estimated time of 2 hours and 14 minutes at 40 inches per minute. Well, if I'm cutting it at 95, it's not going to take 2 hours to cut.
Yeah, I really like that feature. And I don't have that because I'm still running the 7.5. But I've learned to, you know, when I post the G code, I usually hit that little clock thing just to get an idea what the time is. But I really never put a whole lot of faith in that because I usually program my stuff way slower than I run it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's only after, just like the kits that I cut all day long, I know almost to the second how long the cycle time is going to be, but it's only because I cut them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I say, you know, you can adjust that feed rate on the fly, and that's gonna cut into your cycle time, make it a heck of a lot faster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like I say, you know, being the new guy, that's kind of my job here is to point out this is how you could learn as you're going through that. Because,
you certainly can.
You know, I'd have no idea. And as I've also learned, the older I get, the memory is getting a lot shorter. So I go to run this 3 or 4 weeks from now. You know?
And another good point there, David, too, is like you said, to use that for quoting, because you don't want to tell somebody, you know, base your quote on cutting something at what you think the max is going to be on your machine. Because then what if something happens and all of a sudden you find out you can't cut that material that fast? You want to, you know, you want to quote it conservatively and you know.
Yes.
Not only that, in a job sense too, as far as, I mean, I don't know if they would use it in shops, but we'd always have setup sheets where if somebody else is going to cut it on a, you know, their machine, or let's say you have 4 machines within the shop, they know, you know, what they're looking into and all the things they need to get that job going as far as the tools and all that. But that would be like for a bigger shop, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, I really like that setup sheet, and I wished I had it on mine because, you know, now I can tell what tool and stuff, but I have to load the program and look in there. You know what I'm talking about, Juan. Yeah. Whereas if you had the setup sheet, you know, especially if you're using several different tools, you can get all your tooling ready and lay it out in the order that you got to put it in and all that stuff. So really handy feature that Vectric's come up with it. I like that.
And just, I looked on the website, upgrading from V-Carve Pro 7.5 to 8.5 would cost you $150.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. I see a question over here in the chat from Bob. Do you know if you have an area tile that doesn't have a tool path, does it skip that tile? You can, but you would do that yourself. No, it doesn't automatically skip that tile. You would do that yourself. And just by taking a note of which tile that is, if it's, say, for the sake of, if it's tile 5 had no tool paths in it at all, you wouldn't save the G code for tile 5.
It probably won't spit anything out, would it?
No. Yeah, there'd be nothing to code if it didn't have any. But I see where you're going. Let's just say, for the purposes of discussion, you have some tool paths. You're cutting something that's kind of in a U shape. And so you've got that upper center section that had no tool paths in it. You just wouldn't calculate the tool paths for that tile, or you wouldn't save the G code for it anyway. There'd be no need.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jerry Brown is saying V-Carve Desktop has no job sheets. I thought that they did. I apologize if I misspoke there, but I thought that V-Carve Desktop did have them.
Yeah,
so I guess it's.
I don't know. I know they have that chart, I think, on their website saying what desktop has and what the Pro has. So
yeah, and
I have to look at that.
I thought it had job sheets, but I guess I'm wrong. You would go up to the tool paths menu and then create job sheet. It'd be the one on the bottom.
Yeah.
So, can the job sheets be used for troubleshooting? The job sheet is only going to tell you, give you information on that specific file you set up.
It's more for
it may kind of help you troubleshoot, because if your part's not coming out right, you look at the job sheet and go, oh, I'm supposed to have a 1/4-inch bit in there instead of what
right. But it's more for prepping.
It could help you troubleshoot a little bit.
Okay. Jim Sinicola is asking, do the tile lines show? That's up to you. That's one of the reasons why you use the tile overlap function, so that the bit cuts completely off the edge of the material, so there's less of a chance of a line. But you probably, I don't know that I would use the individual tiles on something you were going to stain and finish. You might have to use a little bit of putty to hide the seams or glue lines. But if it were me going to cut that sign, it's going to be painted. I could fill it and I wouldn't worry about it. You know, fill it and prime it and then paint it, and I wouldn't worry about any marks.
Yeah. Now, you didn't have it cut the outside, right? You're using pre-cut blanks.
Well, I used pre-cut blanks, but I did run a profile 2-path.
Okay, well, because I was going to say, if you did each section where you're actually cutting out, it should fit up pretty dadgum good.
Yeah, it would. And I was thinking about this earlier today. How would I put these pieces together? This is another good reason to have a biscuit joiner. If you were to take your pieces, flip them over face down, and use the put them all together like they're supposed to, like they were going to go back together, make marks and use the biscuit joiner, and cut your biscuit joiner slots. When you got finished cutting everything, you could use those biscuits to line everything up and just glue it up like we would a panel.
Yeah. And I got another question here I want to get to, but also, when you're doing something really big like that, if it's like an outdoor sign or something, even piecing it together, when you're driving past it, if it's a road sign or something like that, you're not going to notice once it's all painted up that it's in pieces.
Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of the signs you drive past every day are that way.
Exactly.
And you don't even know it.
You'd be amazed at the number of pieces they are.
Yeah. One other question, and he asked it a while ago and it scrolled up, so I apologize, Bob, I didn't get to it. But he's asking it again here. He says, I have a project of a slot car track that is 26 feet by 18 feet that is 8 lanes wide or 48 inches.
So 8 lanes
wide.
wide.
Would that tiling work? It would just be a heck of a lot of pieces, looks like.
It would be a lot of pieces. It would be a huge number of pieces. You're absolutely right. Because what you got to do, tiling would work. I mean,
I wonder if there's a limit.
Conceivably, I don't know if there is a limit on the number of tiles you can create. I don't know if there's a limit on the size of the piece of material you can put in V-Carve Pro. That would be that'd be something to play around.
I want to say that there's not a limit. I could be wrong, but I've never found one that's been too big where it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Deal like that. Excuse me. Deal like that. You almost would do like, the regular slot cars are, where they're just there's sections, but they're similar pieces repeated.
Yeah.
You might want to lay something out like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, he just came back and said his table size is 36 by 50. What if it were me going to cut that? I would probably make my material an inch smaller than your maximum cutting size, and then just do a little bit of math. I mean, lay it out in V-Carve. Try to enter a piece of material. Try to put in a piece of material 26 by 18, and see can you get it in there. I mean, the worst that can happen is no.
Yeah. Mark, we got another question here. I know we're running over here a little bit, but real quick, Totally Wood Workshop is asking, does tiling automatically calculate the tile size? So
No.
are you, I was trying to watch the chat, so I might have missed if you said it earlier, but you use 6 pieces. Now, did you tell it to use 6, or did it determine that?
I told it, no, it does not automatically calculate the tile size. You decide that, because you know how big of a tile you want. It divides it up. I just picked 18 by 24 because I knew that it would fit on my machine table. So I created the tile size. It decides how many tiles it needs to create to accommodate your tile size.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because let's see, I still got it open here. If you want, I can bring it up. Let me see, where am I at? There I am. Let me get over here and screen share again real quick. And okay, I'm over here. I'm getting started again. Right here, when I click Tile Toolpath for individual tiles, right here, that's where I'm putting in the tile size. It knows how big my completed project is.
Yeah. Now, when you put in the tile size, did you already do the math so that it would come out equally? Equal size pieces, or
not really. No, I didn't. But let's go ahead and change this. Let's say my tile width in X is 18 inches, and my tile height is 12 inches. I update tiles, and it did it by itself. So now I have, instead of having 6 tiles, I now have 12. It automatically divided that up for me.
Cool.
So I've got 4 rows of 3.
okay, but I mean, you're not picking a number that's evenly divisible by what your overall is, right?
No, not at all. All I'm doing is I'm choosing a and that's a good question too, because
size.
Yeah, the job size or it can either go by your table size or even material size. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you wanted to engrave this big design here, although why you would, I don't know. But let's say you wanted to engrave this on tile for a floor. Now you got some 18 by 18 travertine squares, and you want to engrave this on a tile floor. Well, your material's 18 by 18, so we'll enter it here, 18 by 18. I hit update, and that's changed it. Now I need 8 of those 18 by 18 tiles to get that pattern in there.
Yeah. And just looking at that now, another question just popped into my head. And I apologize, folks. I know we're running along here. But bring that back. Or let me block it on you, Mark, so I can ask my question here. All right. back when you had it, can you change it again real quick where it had 12 pieces?
12 pieces?
Yeah.
Okay, that was, what did I have? I had 18 by 12. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so now you've got 12 pieces.
Right.
The way it sits right now. Well, what is okay, so you've got 12 inches wide is one of them?
Yeah, my Y height here is 12 inches, and my tile width in X is 18. That's the way I have
so I guess you could easily, because now you've got it down to where that would fit through your machine if you did 3 long pieces.
Yes.
Right?
That's assuming.
So,
that's assuming
so
that
getting back to when people were talking about the seams and stuff like that, I know if I was going to do that project, I would do it to where I would try to make it
3 seams.
Whatever my limitation is to go through my gantry, and then I would make, tile it the other way to do the long pieces where I'd only have maybe 2 seams, but they'd be big long pieces.
Right, and that's the feed through function down here. That's a different process than the one I was talking about. Exactly, and that's the one in Peter Pozuelo's, because if you put the feed through in X, it grays out your Y. It doesn't ask you what that is. You just need to know what your tile width in X is, and I'll go ahead and I'll leave the 18-inch and update it here. Now it thinks that my machine can handle this full width. It just can't handle this width. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would pass it through in Y.
And I guess typically that's,
or in X, excuse me, in X.
You would want to try to figure out how you can do it in as few pieces as possible.
Oh, definitely.
If you're worried about the seams now,
Right. Definitely. And if you're in a position to where you can do that, where you can pass it through in, feed it through in X or Y, they would probably be better off doing that. But there are some people that have smaller machines, like myself. I can't do a feed through. I have to do tiles because of the way my shop is set up. I can't feed through in Y because my gantry is sideways to the way yours is set up. And it runs, its long axis is the X.
Yeah. So in your case, you're limited not just by your machine size, but
by the shop.
If your machine's up against the wall, you can't feed.
Exactly. Exactly. At one end of my X, I have a wall about 8 inches to the other end of the X, and at the other end of the X, I have a compressor about 1 foot away. Yeah. So I can't really pass through. I have to do separate.
But it's kind of cool. See, I was thinking tiling as far as it was all going to be through. Now this tiling thing is actually pretty cool, because if you are restricted that much to where you can't, your machine's up against the wall or whatnot, you have your table area, and out of that you will make that big sign, which is, it's pretty cool.
Or by the material size. Like I said, if you're going to do something on a piece of slate tile, you're going to get it in a standard 12 by 12 or 18 by 18 piece. You're not going to get an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet of slate unless you go tearing apart a pool table.
Right.
I said that goes back to what I did, was I fully enclosed mine for dust collection and sound purposes in my shop, so I could do a little bit more on the video side. Well, now I have totally eliminated the Y axis because it can only go back so far. I can't stick anything through unless I tear the whole thing apart. So now I'm limited to having to do.
And I'm the same way on the one in my shop, Russ. You've seen it. It's backed right up to the wall, and it's got that little plastic, it's not really an enclosure, but just to kind of keep the dust all in one spot. So I'd have to pull that one out and do a bunch of stuff too. Right. But, if you've got a machine that's on casters where you can pull it away and clear a path where you can feed it through, that's probably the way to go, but it's not going to work for everybody.
Right. And this is just throwing options out there. It's a way for the home hobby CNC guy with a small machine or small material to make big projects.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Wow, we had a great discussion tonight, guys.
And I
Cool.
thought this was going to kill 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know, we can get long-winded talking about the weather around here. So,
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
but before I forget, I do want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Andre Design, who has graciously volunteered to do to come join us and do a show on how to tile in 3D with Aspire.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
So, thanks for. You may regret it later, but thanks for saying you'll do that, Andre. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it's about time to wrap this one up, guys. We've got. It's about 10:30 almost.
Oh,
I just happened to think of something. I'm terrible about not making notes beforehand. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And there was something I wanted to say about the GarageWorX CNC giveaway that I forgot to mention when we were talking about it earlier. And it may not be a big deal, or maybe it is. I don't know. But I wanted to, I'm gonna foot the shipping. Wherever it's going, USA, Canada, either no matter what country it's going to, I'm going to foot the shipping. But I got to thinking about something today, and I thought it might be something some people might want to do. And so I thought, well, I'll throw it out there just so, so people can know, and I'll try to remember to mention it each show or something. But if you're lucky enough to win that CNC, I'm going to have the thing, I've got it mostly built. I'm going to have the thing all built up and running, and I'll be doing some videos with it between now and when the drawing is and stuff like that. So when we have the drawing, it will be sitting there, ready to run. And I got to thinking, some people, especially if they win a CNC and this is their very first CNC, if they would want to, and again, they have to decide how much that's worth to them. But if they would want to come here to pick it up, I would be happy to spend, a few hours, not just helping them load it up, but showing them how the thing works and, some software stuff, and
take them up on that, guys.
Things like that. And also, because once I build it up, I will be building a plywood table with T-nuts like I always do, so I can demonstrate it. But I wasn't planning on shipping that with the machine because it's just, it's a big old heavy piece of plywood. So, and it's easy enough to build your own, but you would get that as well. If you're close, and I know if you're in Canada or something, obviously you're probably not going to drive down here and pick it up. But somebody lives in Alabama or Tennessee or Florida or South Carolina or North Carolina, somewhere like that, may feel like it would be worth it to to drive over and pick it up. And like I said, especially if it's your first CNC, because like I said, I'd be happy to spend a few hours with you and show you how to do a few things with it. So when you get it back home, you're not completely green. You pretty much know how to at least get it going.
Don't do it. He'll make you take the vacuum cleaner and suck up all the sawdust in his shop. I wouldn't.
That's safe.
Even if he makes
part of the training.
Even if he makes you clean the shop, do it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it.
No, he'll put you on that vacuum cleaner. I swear to God, don't do it.
If you're new,
I've got a different system worked up now. They want, if I'm cutting kits, I have my my dust shoe and my little top hat separator and all that. It's actually pretty clean in there. You'd be impressed.
Oh, of course, I probably won't that, but I don't believe it. I still don't believe
it. and we know that's because Russell cleaned it up for you, and you just don't want to get it dirty again because he ain't coming back.
I will hand it to Russ. He's pretty badass on the shop vac. I can tell you.
Some people just got it,
and nobody can take that away from him.
I mean, the thing fit his hand just right and everything. He was awesome.
Well, I don't want to scare you here, Dave, but you got people talking about, oh, hell yeah, I'm in Virginia. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'll drive.
Hey,
I'll come down from Canada. I'll drive from Colorado.
Like I said, that offer's out there. As long as you feel like it's worth the drive to you to and see, the other thing is, like I said, you get some training if you're new. You get the machine, with the tabletop on it, and plus it's already assembled.
Man, that's a heck of.
So you wouldn't have to, and it's assembled right and already running, because
you'll be running it.
I'd be running it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I mean, like I said, I know there's people that live way out there that probably wouldn't feel like it's worth it, and I'd be happy to, and if that's the case, that's fine. I'll take it back apart and crate it up and ship it. But that's probably somebody says Michigan isn't that far.
I would just like to say one thing on that, and Dave actually touched base on it. It is a lot different when I know we give Russ a hard time, but when Russ bought his, he came in boxes and he had to put it all together. And then when I got mine, I actually went to Dave's house and picked it up and brought it back to Florida. So when I brought it back, it was already assembled, the gantry, everything. It did not have the motors or the rider or anything on it, but the basic frame was already, and the gantry was already put together and was well working. So that does save, in all sincerity, a lot of time by having it done that way. So if you could go pick it up, it would behoove you to do that, because it would save you a lot of time and headaches to do that.
And you'll know it was done right.
Yeah.
No questions.
Just the training itself.
Yeah.
Even if it's an hour or two, it's well worth it.
I've
never
knew how to use a vacuum cleaner or a shop vac so well until I met Dave.
Just make sure it's 1 or 2 hours after the cleaning. Don't include the shop vac time.
He taught me well. I'm a shop vac professional now.
No, but I mean, like I said, if you think it's worth it to you, come pick it up, and we'll spend some time, doing some little projects or whatever, and get somebody comfortable that when they get it home, they feel like they can, be able to run it without totally screwing something up. Which, like I said, I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if anybody would want to do it or not, and we'll have to wait and see who wins anyway. But thought I'd throw it out there. Get a big shout out to my friend Diana Carpenter's in the chat. She's never in the chat for my show. She's always on yours, Russ. She's my buddy.
Love you, Diana.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It just means that I'm better looking than Dave.
She just said hi, dude.
Yeah, she's
my buddy. You can tell half of your face is hid.
Hey, she has a Santa fetish. What can I say?
Well, whatever. Yeah. Okay, I guess we're going to wrap this up. We're like 10:34, whatever, so I apologize for going over.
Yeah.
Still got 81 folks watching. If you would, folks, if you've enjoyed watching this show, please like and subscribe on your way out. And while you're at it, go down the list there at David Battershaw, Juan, Mark, Russ Meadows, Russ Clarity. Go down there and hit the links down there for them. Go subscribe to them too if you're not already. We got a lot of talented people on the panel here.
Could I throw something else out there, Dave? If you all think that this was a topic that you'd like to see on a video, just leave a comment here in Dave's, after this goes live, after it gets posted to his YouTube channel, leave a comment saying, yeah, you'd like to see a video on it, and maybe we can take care of you.
I'd like to see a video on it, Mark.
Okay. I think it'd be great. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to watch the video because I was too busy trying to watch the chat while you were doing it. I missed it.
No, I just know it would really benefit a lot of people, so that's why I think you should.
Yeah, I mean, and we've done shows with just like when we had Drew Short on the other night, and he had that Piranha. That thing had a little 12 by 13 or whatever cutting area.
Yeah.
But see, as long as you can fit something through it, or do the multiple pieces like Mark was doing tonight, you can still do a lot with a CNC. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big one, and it doesn't really, it wouldn't do you any good if you said, well, I got to buy a 4x8 or build a 4x8 because I got this one thing I have to do, and then you do it, and then everything else you do is small. You have to.
Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Did a great job, Mark. That was
thank
awesome.
you, sir. Do
He
appreciate
did
it.
do a great job. He's
lots of sawdust.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna have
God.
to leave somebody with. I know how to shut him up though.
Oh,
Oh, ouch.
roll what?
How about them gators?
Roll what?
Roll the tide up into a little booger and flick them off.
Oh, damn.
Hey, you guys played awesome for like, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 minutes or
Oh,
something.
dang.
Yeah, that was about it.
All right, we're gonna end this on a good note before Russ gets mad at me here.
Yeah, it could get a little nasty real quick if you like.
Yeah, I better get us off the air pretty quick here. Okay, thanks everybody over there in the chat. Great show. I appreciate having a big audience like that. Thanks for hanging with us for an hour and a half or so. Thanks, David, Juan, Mark, Russ, and Russ. Thanks for joining me tonight. And I guess we'll see y'all next week. I think I mentioned last week I was going to be out of town, but I'm not going to be out of town next weekend. I'm going to go, and I was hoping to have Michael Mertzke on here tonight too, because I'm going to go back to North Carolina to the Falcon Children's Home. And I'm going to be putting together a CNC for them. They've got a GarageWorX 4x4 CNC. And I'm pretty sure they've still got that GoFundMe going. I know I haven't mentioned it in a long time, but if you can help out there, please do. But anyway, just wanted to mention that real quick. Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all next week, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Have a good one, y'all. Take care.
Yeah.
Don't forget to give a thumbs up on the way out.
I love sawdust.